Watch what just happened. One AI assistant looked for another that could schedule a meeting, found one run by a completely different company, handed it the task, and waited for it to finish. No human typed anything. No copy-paste between apps. For the first time, software agents from rival vendors are speaking the same language, and the standard that makes it possible is called a 2A. Here's what it really is, who's behind it, and the one problem nobody has fully solved. Rewind a year. Every AI assistant lived on its own island. Your calendar agent couldn't talk to a supplier support agent. A coding agent couldn't hand work to a testing agent from another company. If you wanted two of them to cooperate, an engineer had to write custom glue code for that exact pair, and rewrite it every time anything changed. It didn't scale, and it kept agents locked inside whoever built them. A 2A, short for agent to agent, fixes that with one shared language. Every agent publishes a small profile called an agent card. Here's who I am, here's what I can do, here's how to reach me. Any other agent can read that card, discover it, send over a task, and collect the result, using the same standard message format no matter who built either side. Think of it as a universal handshake between robots that have never met. And this isn't a science project. A 2A launched in April 2025 with more than 50 partners on day one, and by 2026 over 100 companies had signed on. When that many rivals agree on the same plumbing, it stops being a bet and starts being infrastructure, the kind of thing that quietly ends up underneath everything. So who's behind it? Google built a 2A and then did the smart thing for a standard, it gave it away. In June 2025, Google donated the protocol to the Linux Foundation, the same neutral, non-profit home that governs Linux itself. That matters. If Google alone owned the language every agent speaks, every rival would be nervous to adopt it. Handing it to a neutral foundation is what made the rest of the industry comfortable building on top. Here's the timeline. April 2025, Google launches a 2A. Weeks later, in May, Microsoft adopts it across Azure AI Foundry and Copilot Studio, a huge signal. June 23, it's donated to the Linux Foundation as the Agent 2 Agent project, with Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco, Salesforce, SAP, and ServiceNow on board. And one clarification, because it's easy to mix up, in December, a separate body, the Agentic AI Foundation, formed to govern different standards like Anthropic's MCP. That's a sibling, not the same thing as a 2A. It's also worth separating a 2A from the other acronym you keep hearing, MCP. They're not rivals, they're two halves. MCP, from Anthropic, connects a single agent to its tools, files, databases. APIs. A 2A, from Google, connects whole agents to each other so they can hand off work. One is how an agent reaches its tools, the other is how agents reach their peers. Together they're the wiring of a real multi-agent internet. So what does this actually unlock? Specialization. Instead of one giant agent that does everything badly, you get a generalist that knows how to outsource. Need travel booked? It calls a travel agent. Need a contract reviewed? It calls a legal agent run by a different company entirely. Each expert does the one thing it's best at and reports back. It's the difference between a single employee and an organization that can hire. Take the simplest example, scheduling. Today, lining up a meeting across two companies is a chain of emails. With a 2A, your assistant just messages their assistant directly, proposes times, reads back the open slots, confirms a slot, and books it. The whole back and forth happens agent to agent in seconds, and you only see the finished invite. Multiply that across procurement, support, logistics, anywhere two organizations have to coordinate, and the savings get real. But here's the catch, and it's a real one. For two agents to cooperate, they have to share context, your calendar, your budget, a snippet of a private document, maybe a credential. The moment your agent delegates a task, some of your data crosses a boundary into a system run by another company, one you don't control and can't audit. Convenience and exposure are the same action here. You can't have the delegation without the handoff. To its credit, A2A was designed with this in mind. Agents are meant to stay opaque, they expose what they can do, not their internal memory, prompts, or reasoning. The protocol leans on the same authentication you'd expect on any serious API, things like auth, so an agent has to prove who it is before it gets anything. That's a genuinely good foundation. The problem is that a good foundation is not the same as a finished building. Which leads to the honest sentence. We standardized how agents talk before we standardized how to stop them oversharing. Security researchers keep flagging the same gaps: an agent that leaks more than it should, a malicious agent posing as a helpful one, a delegated task that quietly carries your data somewhere it was never meant to go. The handshake is specified. The guarantee that your secrets don't walk out the door with it is still being figured out. So hold both sides at once. On the left, what A2A genuinely delivers: a neutral, open standard with serious backing that finally lets agents from different companies work together. On the right, what's still open, keeping shared data from leaking, deciding how to trust an agent you can't see inside, and stopping bad actors from impersonating a trusted one. The capability arrived first. The safety rails are arriving second, and that gap is exactly where the risk lives right now. If you're building with this today, the playbook is the boring, correct one. Treat another company's agent like any third-party vendor with access to your systems. Share the minimum context the task actually needs. Give every delegated agent a narrow, short-lived credential, never a master key. And assume that anything you hand off could be stored or logged on the other side. None of that is glamorous, but it's the difference between using A2A and being a case study in why it needed guardrails. So here's the takeaway. The big unlock of 2026 isn't a smarter model, it's that the agents can finally talk to each other, across companies, in one shared language. That's a genuine leap. But the hard part was never the conversation. It's trusting what they say behind your back, and making sure your data doesn't leave with the deal. A2A built the roads. The traffic laws are still catching up. So I'll put it to you. Would you let your agent go off and make deals with a stranger's agent on your behalf? Is this the leap that finally makes AI useful, or a data leak waiting to happen? Drop your take below. I'm the shipyard, I read the spec sheet so you don't have to. Subscribe for no hype AI and developer news, and I'll see you in the next one.